Hello everybody, we are live for the Championship review. Sorry I'm late, a little bit tardy tonight, but we're going to talk through all of the games in this midweek round of Championship action. It's really hotting up now. The top three are just killing it at the top of the league. All of them 5 wins in the last six. Sixth place just seems totally up for grabs now. And at the bottom, we've been saying it for ages, can a team win 2 games out of 5 or, just put a couple on? A few of them have all done it at the same time. So it's hotting up at the bottom. Hi to everybody in the feed. Please make yourself known. Sorry, got the dogs this weekend. So upstairs tonight, Dan says Norwich looked nervous last night. Big win from Rotherham, says Jay Murphy. We will get on to all of that. Don't steal my catchphrases. LUFC Dave, there we go. Disappointment about Forest. Let's get into it then, guys. And up the top of the league, Norwich keep going. They keep up the pace. 9 games to go, and we've still got this little staircase. So Norwich in first, then 2 points down to second, and then 2 points down to third. The Canaries, we expected Farker to sign his contract. That's been ongoing for a month or so now, and they announced it just before the game. I guess a feel-good thing. And maybe it worked, because they were 2-0 up Norwich in 14 minutes. Steeperman with the opener, and then Buendia with the second. And then a bit of a weird rest of the half for Norwich, because they could have gone 3-0 up, 4-0, 5-0, whatever. They seem to be playing really well. But a mistake from Krull at the back, and they let Pugh in, and they end up going in 2-1 at half time instead of 2-0 or 3-0 or even better. So Hull then start the second half well, but Buendia gets another one on 60 minutes. Lovely flick by Buendia in the build-up to that goal. Would have been an absolute beauty if Pookie just hadn't stood on the ball in the build-up. Could have been a goal of the season contender. That one, Buendia on fire at the moment for Norwich. So it's 3-1 up, but Norwich being Norwich, they seem to have won so many games 3-2. If anyone can let me know in the feed how many games Norwich have won 3-2. It must be 4 or 5 or 6. Now, it seems to be a ridiculous amount. Well, I suppose the important bit in Norwich's instance is the 3. They just create so many chances and score so many goals. 75 league goals in 37 games. So that, by my maths, is just over 2 per game. Matches their points as well. Martin knocks one in. Dan says 3 points, all that matters. Yeah, fair comment. Ex-Norwich player Martin puts one in, although they didn't look too bothered in the stoppage time. Sigurd says Norwich won 3-2 5 times. Incredible, absolutely incredible stuff. Well worth the money to watch them this season. Very entertaining team. So everybody at the top is in overdrive now. It's first to blink, and I said Norwich need to get up to this weekend, because of course we'll talk about it in a minute. That big game, second versus third on Saturday. So someone is guaranteed to drop points out of second and third place. So Norwich can get the win over Rotherham at the weekend, then they're really looking good. I guess from a Norwich point of view, you'd actually want Leeds to win that, because really, ego and Championship aside, you just want to get up, don't you? And it's the distance between first and third that's really important to Norwich, rather than that clustering up, maybe a Sheffield United win there. That would be my view if I were a Norwich fan. But then again, I'm cautious. There may be some Norwich fans. I heard Darren Huckabee say on Talk Norwich City that, they want the Championship. Yeah, Dan says, I don't care. It's Ipswich. Will I still be reviewing Championship football when Ipswich go down? Yes, I will. I get asked that every video. I promise I will. Hull not at it away from home at all. Hull. And we've said it's traditional. There's stats to back this up now. Mid-table teams accumulate points at a lower rate than the bottom 6 at this point in the season. So expect some on the beach stuff down in that middle area. Right, Leeds United, they're at it as well. I can say it about all of the top 3. Ali says irresistible force, immovable object on Saturday. William says Reading played well until Leeds scored, but then lost their heads. Leeds 3-0 up at half time in this one. So convincing win at Reading, could have been even more than 3 in the end of it. And pretty settled from Bielsa now. He's keeping Tyler Roberts in there. Phillips is got that spot now that Forshaw had. And Bamford, that's the real key for Leeds, because I was really worried when Roof went out first. Quick one, Jake says whoever scores first wins Leeds versus Blades. Certainly going to be a tight one. Now, I was worried when Roof went out because Bamford might be cold. He'd been injured, but he's been really good, Bamford. And a lovely step over for him, for Klitsch, for the opener. I was on the way to Bristol and I saw some Leeds fans at the services, and they gave me a Klitsch's scoring goals song, and then he did straight away. So, and then Hernandez, just ridiculous. I know I babble on about Hernandez on the channel here, but I don't know which of these goals is better. They're both absolutely brilliant. The first one, he swivels, and it just seems that there's like 1 inch for him to put it in. He drives it along the ground and in off the post. Absolutely brilliant finish. And then you see the next goal he scores where he goes across the keeper. I almost think that the first of his goals was better, just because when he receives the ball, the chances of him scoring there. Dux says Bamford nearly completed his perfect hat-trick of misses, so they created loads of more chances. I couldn't believe Hernandez slashing at that one for the hat-trick as well. So great stuff from Pablo. 10 goals, 11 assists, double figures for both from midfield. I know Jutkovic has done that from up front. There is a mitigating factor. I know stats are stats, but obviously he plays the kind of flick-on game for Birmingham there. Rory says Leeds have won every game that they've scored first in. Only team to do so in the top 2 leagues of the top 5 countries. Wow. We'll get onto that penalty in a minute, Mark. Yes. So Leeds 5 wins in 6. But that standard for all of the top 3 is literally, it's just enough to keep up at the moment, because they are all winning every week. We've seen this before at this stage of the Championship. Massive, massive sprint finish. They're still 2 points off Norwich. They were top for 24 hours. LUFC Dave says worried if Bamford or Roberts gets injured. Williams back in Norwich and Leeds. Chris is disappointed. I'm not very flamboyantly dressed today. Just a boring flannel shirt. Hey, gargantuan game for Leeds and Sheffield United on Saturday. And I have a ticket. Whoop-de-doo. I'm really looking forward to that one. Reading seem to have pulled themselves out of it with a couple of great results, but we'll talk about it when we get down to the bottom. It wasn't a good day for Reading. A couple of results went away from them this game, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Jay says, who do I think will win on Saturday? I'm going to plead the fifth on that one and just could go anywhere. I've seen lots of Leeds and lots of Sheffield United. The problem is the patterns of the two teams contradict the other team. So the pattern of great Leeds performances, intense, bash, bash, bash. Whereas Sheffield United, loads of possession, loads of players forward. They can't both play the natural game because they contradict each other. So it's going to be really attritional, interesting game. I just hope they don't cancel each other out. But surely they're too front foot, those teams, for it to be 0-0. I was at the Leeds Norwich game and that was open. So if it's anything like that, should be a good one. But I'm not going to make a prediction. I like the prediction. Whoever said in the feed who scored first. Jay Murphy says Blades will win. That'd be quite the away win. Right, so moving on to the Blades. They won 2-0 against Brentford, and this is pretty heroic stuff now. I think we'd probably all admit they had the most difficult game of the top three. Norwood puts them 1-0 up from the spot. Everything going swimmingly there. But on 35, huge spanner in the works there. Medine gets a red card, straight red there. And then Brentford start to work towards 29 shots, 255 passes in the final third. But Blades defend so well. Only one big chance conceded, says my stats app. And then Wilder, whatever you say about Wilder, that bloke has got balls. He sticks two up front when they've got 10 men on. McGoldrick and Sharp go on. I guess he says, look, in defence, we'll get men behind the ball. And then when we attack, it's kind of like, when you play five-a-side, attack together, defend together, just going to go for that. And they had the goal threat. I think he knew they would create a big chance. And they did. And McGoldrick heads in on 84. What a bit of management that by Wilder. Imagine he hadn't done that. They played defensive and Brentford sneak 1-1. There'd be 2 further points back on Norwich. And we'd be talking very, very differently now. So Blades, stay in touch with the top 2. As I keep repeating, the pace is just blistering at the moment now. Dave saying Jack Clark might be back on the bench. That would be a good guy to have around. James says, think the top 2 this year will need more than 90 points. If this pace continues, then James is right. I was bemoaning the standard earlier in the season, but now if you look, Norwich are at 2 points per game. Leeds are 1 point off it. And I've just got, I'm on who scored on the screen over there, and it's just a massive green wins for that top 3. They are all killing it at the moment. And I hate to say it, one of those teams is going in the playoffs, and we've seen very good teams choke in the playoffs after accumulating tons of points. John says playoffs will need 72. That's going to be a hell of a lot lower standard. Let me just say, whoever finishes third is going to be a hell of a lot better than the team that finishes 6th. But hey, you go into that one-off, two-legged affair. Brentford in 14th, everyone around them lost. I don't think Brentford are going to go on the beach in the way that Hull, Swansea or Birmingham might. I think Brentford might finish top 12 and be in the top half. They might still have a say as well. Still, Leeds have got to go to Brentford as well. So West Brom stay in 4th. They get their first win in 4 games. Paul Scholes to West Brom. He left Oldham today. Did I see Pontus's tweet? I did not, J. Army. Tell me what it said in the feed here. So West Brom, James Shan is their caretaker manager after Darren Moore goes. And I think Swansea were quite unlucky in this one. Chris Brunt, muggy free kick, looked like a cross to the back post and it just creeps in. And then the much missed Ollie McBurney. Swansea missed chance after chance, and then the viral moment of the weekend. Bersant Salina, who I know all about because he was on loan at Ipswich all last season. Believe me, guys, this guy's a really good player. Really good player. Needs a bit of discipline in his game, but could be a real lovely number 10. And I don't actually think this was unlucky. I had a good look at his feet here. It actually looks like bad technique. Looks like he plants his standing foot way too close to the ball, kicks his back foot against his standing foot. Doesn't seem to slip. It does seem to be just rank bad technique. And if you read the Frank Lampard book, he actually had spoken to John Terry about doing this, about how you plant your standing foot before that Champions League final penalty miss. So there's definitely something in it, and you'd think someone as kind of studied and studious as Frank Lampard would be onto something there. So maybe Salina needs to look at his penalty technique. Although Salina's long range shooting is normally fantastic, and his technique's brilliant. So really surprised. Nick says scored that great goal against Leeds. Scored Ipswich's goal of the season competition last year. I know that's hardly the highest standard of goals. A Mick McCarthy team, but it was all Salina. So he's definitely a player. And then just to compound it for Swansea, concede from a set play, Holgate heads it in, miss a load more chances, and then Jay Rodriguez, 18 for the season for him. And I believe he's played in all 37 games as well, which is no mean feat for a championship striker. We often see centre-halves and goalies do it, but not strikers. I don't know who's going to be on for every minute. I don't know if anyone in the feed can let me know and search that one up. I wouldn't think there's many outfield players in it yet. West Brom first win in 4. They're 7 points below third, 9 points above 7th. That is nailed on for the playoffs. And I've been saying it really looks nailed on for Borough, West Brom in the playoffs. although Borough could drop off. Swansea in 15, 4 defeats in 5 on the beach, I hear you say. They need McBurney back and a focal point up front. Speaking of Borough 1, Preston 2. This is a big win for Preston, and I might have to admit defeat to you lot in the feed, because I've been saying for ages, top 6 unlikely to change. Well, after these past 2 games, it is properly open. Derby and Bristol City have messed this up right royally. Last 6 for Derby, lost, 1 drawn. Last 6 for Bristol, 1 lost, drawn. They've really let it open for Villa and Preston primarily, and Forest if they can. Dave says Borough will not make the playoffs. It's wide open, like I say. Fletcher gave Borough the lead. Bit of a muggy goal, that big deflection on that. Nice assist by Besic, though. He's good at driving from centre midfield there. Ayala, red card there, diving in on... who was it? I can't think. His name begins with B. I've gone blank there. Someone tell me in the feed. Jay Murphy says, hard to believe Derby is still in the playoff pictures. H. Huss says, am I ever going to get a haircut, Ben? It's really long at the moment. Absolutely not, H. Huss. Villa and Preston to take the last 2 playoff places. If the form goes the way it's going, yes, that will happen. But you can't imagine that Bristol City and Derby will continue being so bad for the remaining 9 games. So it's 10 versus 11 for the last half hour of this one. Preston make it count straight away. Paul Gallagher scored one of these against Ipswich. Puts the tight free kick in, and then Stockley gets the winner, reads the deflection really, really well. 1234 says, I'm the Championship Jesus. I will take that all day long. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the Championship. Preston climbed to 9th. Only 2 points off 6 now. As William says, unbeaten in their last 11. 25 points in the last 11, Preston. 2.27 points per game. That is outstanding form from Preston. Can they keep it going? Have they gone too soon? Certainly, Villa and Preston look a load better than Derby and Bristol City do at the moment. So I'm open to the fact that 6th might change, and God, if Borough, drawn, lost, if Borough keep that up, 5th and 6th may well change as well. So Borough stay in 5th, second home defeat of the week. Not good from Borough, and the chasing pack grows. So let's go on to Derby, who are having their traditional, I don't want to spout out the cliche, the traditional El Collapso from Derby. They drew 0-0 with Stoke, and I think came up against a good Jack Butland performance. 19 shots to 5 for Derby. Although both sides did hit the woodwork. McLean hit the woodwork as well for Stoke here. Unhelpful draw for Derby. They do cling on to 6th place more by Bristol City's ineptitude than their own kind of good form. 6 points in the last 7 for Derby. That is bottom 6 form. That's like 0.8 points per game. Not good form at all for Derby. Here's the hope for Derby. Tom Lawrence is back now. I know Derby fans whine about Lawrence, but believe me, I think they're better with his mobility than they are without it. And Mount should be back for that last 8-game sprint. They've missed both of those guys, I believe. Stoke, 6 unbeaten, but that's 5 draws. Points hardly piling on. Sigurd says Norwich 3.3 goals a game. I don't know over what period that is. I don't know if that's in home games, but let me know, Sigurd. Defensively, though, very good Stoke. 2 conceded in those 6, so they're kind of grinding it out now. Let's move on to Bristol City. They drew 1-1 with my team Ipswich, and I was there. Ipswich played well for the first 20 minutes of this, and then standard protocol, they dropped off. And of course, Adam Webster joins Joe Garner in being a former Ipswich player to score against Town. But Ipswich look like they're building up some kind of team identity. They haven't had one for absolutely months now, after the damage done by Hurst and, tons of loan players. But I know they're not winning at the moment, Ipswich, but there's some kind of spirit and momentum building there in amidst all these draws. And if you'd have said to me at the start of the week, you're going away to West Brom and away to Bristol City, that's 4th place and 6th place, I would have been like, okay, might score 1 in those 2 games, concede 4 or 5, 0 points. But we haven't lost either of the games, so some encouragement there. And they're not rolling over anymore and conceding 2 goals every away game. So I know you may laugh, but some improvement at the bottom from Ipswich. John says corner was not in the correct position. Yeah, they always overhang that ball, take the mickey, some of these players. Ipswich get the equaliser in the second half, own goal there, but really well worked. Some good football by Kenlock on the build-up to that. Lloyd Kelly puts the own goal in. But from a Bristol City point of view, just wasn't good. It really wasn't good. They look very lethargic. I said in my match review, which you can watch elsewhere on the channel, they don't play with any kind of playmaker. No deep line playmaker and no number 10. So it's all on the team getting up the pitch and energy and playing down the sides with people like Eliasson, Brownhill, energetic midfield in there, Vyman with his pace as well. Didn't work, and I was a bit disappointed with Bristol City. The last 15 minutes of the game, you'd be thinking, you're at home to bottom in the league, pile on now, get the goal, go for it, and they just really didn't do it at all. So Bristol City hold in 7th place, but lost, drawn their last 5 games. Not good for Bristol City at the moment. And the worrying thing for Bristol City and Derby, Forest 1, Villa 3. So the playoff picture is changing rapidly now. Big clash this one. I'd written Villa off. I was at Villa Sheffield United where Villa got that kind of jammy 3-3 and Grealish wasn't back. If Grealish has come back and they genuinely could now make a playoff charge, Villa. Colback gives Forest the lead, overhit cross, clearly that one. Colback used to play for Ipswich, so that was definitely, I can tell you that was an overhit cross. Then McGinn, he had that great impact on the Blues Villa game, came on, changed the game really, or gave them the push rather than change the game for Grealish to get that winner on Sunday. He scores 2 goals, and it's one of those quick turnaround. It's 2-1 to Villa in 15 minutes. House heads the third in for Villa in the second half. McGinn hits the post, can't get the hat-trick. Williams says no one expected Grealish to make this much of an impact. I might disagree with you on that one. I thought he did. I thought he would. He's a great player, Grealish, and really we've been discussing this loads. The stats say huge disparity in the points gained for when Grealish is playing or not. So 3 on the trot for Villa, 2 points off the playoff places, and big game now. Villa. Dara, who's a Forest fan, says McGinn tore us apart. Good player, McGinn, very good player. They've missed him as well as Grealish. And when you get Grealish and Hourihane together, that's a really well balanced midfield, because what Grealish can't do, McGinn kind of can with that sort of physicality. I think they dovetail quite well, those two. William says he means to win 3. Yeah, I agree with that in respect to the 3 wins. In terms of his impact, Jack obviously pretty standard performer there. Lots of love for Buendia in here. Certainly he's in great form. Be interested to see him put another few months together of that, but certainly great player, Buendia. Only 21 as well, Buendia, I think. Villa played Borough at Villa Park on Saturday, and the way it's going, you'd fancy Villa to win that, and that would put Villa on 57 and Borough on 58. Incredible, absolutely incredible. Turnaround here, could get into the playoffs. Forest flattering to deceive. One lost over those last 4 games. They're tucked in behind Preston and Villa in the chase, and I think someone said in the feed here, you'd fancy Preston and Villa a little bit more. Let me know what you do. Nick says no way Grealish is worth 30 million. Well, let me know what you do think he's worth. We get this with Grealish a lot. Oh, he's overrated. He's not worth this. Tell me what he is. Don't tell me what he's not. Be interested to know what you think he is worth. Bolton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Wednesday still unbeaten under Steve Bruce. They're in the playoff conversation, although there's a lot of teams ahead of them. 11th position, but only a 4-point gap. And if they did get in the playoffs, they'd be a bastard to play against, because Bruce will stink that one out absolute right royally. Ben says Bolton are down. I think you might well be right about that one, Ben. Bannon through to Fletcher for the first. Reach through to Aaron's for the second. Wednesday, they look confident in what they're doing here. Like I said, 11th, turbochargers on. Lot more draws than say the top three or Preston at the moment, but certainly playing well. One defeat in the last 15 games. Absolutely savage defensive record. Only 4 conceded in the last 10 games. Good debate going on in the feed here about comparing Barnes and Grealish and Maddison. Certainly, well, as an England fan, that's all right, isn't it? All very good players. They've got to do it in the Premier League, definitely, because Maddison is doing it in the Premier League, I believe. I don't know his stats, but certainly plays a lot for Leicester, so we'll see there. I think something of the hometown boy for Grealish, hard for him to move away from Villa. But if you watch our financial special on the channel, that will be very likely to happen if they don't go up. John says, please don't let it be a Sheffield playoff final. Yes, 2 very boring 0-0 draws in those games so far. Maddison created most chances in the Premier League, more than anyone else. Really? More than some of those Man City players? Interesting. Good work by, if that's true. Riley's talking about Ajayi. We'll get on to Rotherham in a minute there. So after that vital win for Bolton over Millwall, back to square one, and the gap returns to 7 points with some other results going against them. Spall back in the feed, Ben, for Reading Leeds. Dara says Forest playoff dream pretty much over now. Really good debate about these Championship players. Maybe we'll do a video on that if someone gives me a suggestion, about these Championship players coming out, going into the Premier League. Maddison's certainly a good flag bearer for that. Birmingham 0, Millwall 2. And if you looked at the other results, God, did Millwall need this win. Excellent away performance from Millwall. And it looks like Harris has hit upon a bit of a different style here. Little Crow says Thompson and Pearce. Oh, did Pearce play? Immense for Millwall. Pearce and Cooper, centre-backs. Little Crow, who seems to be a Millwall fan, don't know if you agree with me, they seem to have picked up a different style, because Millwall just didn't care last year. They played the same at home as they did away and just pressed the hell out of people and pushed right up the pitch. But when I saw them at Derby, it was a low block, counter-attack. Oh, Pearce was captain. Interesting. And they nicked the goal there. And it looks like they did this with Thompson. So a bit more kind of pace and dribbling ability in the midfield. John says Mill will have a decent last few games. And they're going to have that game in hand. Oh, no, they don't have a game in hand. They're going to come up against Bristol City. So it will end up after the FA Cup. Thompson's been like a new signing, says William. He came back from Pompey on loan, did Ben Thompson. 2 goals for him in this game. So yeah, I saw them against Derby. They'd lost all 4 games in between, and if they hadn't have got this win, they would have been in the bottom 3. Millwall. It's like 37, 36, 36, 36 down the bottom there. Dave says Birmingham will not make the playoffs. Does not look like that. Bad week for Birmingham on the front pages of the press after the Grealish incident. William says, I think Millwall will have the best fixtures out of the other teams. I haven't checked that, William, so I'll take your word for that, but that would certainly bode well for the Lions. 2 home defeats for Blues, no goals, down to 12th and awaiting their FFP. Millwall actually getting the ball down and playing. Interesting. If they can match their intensity with some good passing, Millwall will be a force. But what you have to remember is in the financial climate, what Millwall are doing is just great anyway, because much lower income and spend than any team who's been anywhere near the Premier League in the last 10 years. Birmingham haven't got it any easier. They go away to Preston. James says Millwall look good against Norwich. Neil says, what was the Wolves wage bill last season? I don't know, has it been published yet? It has been published. The difficult thing with these teams to get promoted is the wage bill, as Kieran Maguire said. I think they paid 20 million in bonuses. Am I wrong about that? Some ridiculous $500,000 a player for bonuses. So that goes into the wage bill. But yeah, Wolves lost £1 million a week to get promoted. So they're going to make it all back with, even if they'd got relegated, they'd still make it all back. So that's the ridiculous difference between Championship money without parachutes and anything that's been anywhere near the Premier League. Knee Down says, Kieran interview brilliant. Thank you, Knee Down. It was I wanted to do that, and a really good chat, and I think it's important that we know about finances. For example, when Rotherham are playing West Brom, to understand just what an uneven playing field it is in the Championship. 2 more to go. Blackburn 3, Wigan 0. This felt like the Blackburn earlier in the season. 2 for Graham, 13 for the season with him. Wigan then have a good spell at 2-0, but this ridiculous back pass goal, and Dak sneaks in there to get that one. 12 for the season. Convincing win. Rovers needed the win, but Mowbray had been pissing and moaning about the defending, so he'll be most pleased with the clean sheet there. Into 16, first win in 8, but Wigan are properly in trouble now, sucked in for the first time now. You remember Wigan? Yeah, Dara says bad loss for Wigan. They started the season with a load of home wins, and I think they got like 10 points out of 4 games. So they've now dropped down for the first time. This is the difference between Wigan. All the other teams have kind of been down there all season. Rotherham, Reading and Millwall have pretty much been down there the whole time, so they're kind of used to it. That's interesting. Jay Murphy says Wigan most big chances missed this season with 49. John says Wigan will go down, I think. And the other John says they could help Bolton out of the bottom 3. I mean, stretch for Bolton, but they could certainly drop into that 22nd position, Wigan. 1 point off safety, and in the little surge at the moment, they're the only team that hasn't actually put any wins on the board. If you look, Bolton have got 2 wins in the last 6. Rotherham have got 2 wins in the last 3. Reading have got 3 wins in the last 6. Millwall have got 2 wins on the last 6. So Wigan you would be worried about. They are in the worst form of those teams down there and have been trading off their good start to the season for long enough now. Right, finally, QPR 1, Rotherham 2. Amazing stuff from Rotherham. And as I just said a minute ago, when we talk about Rotherham, I think their entire wage bill is 6 million. So they're spending less than Villa spent on John Terry or Snodgrass on their own last season. So brilliant stuff from Paul Warne. I know some people tell me, don't go and watch Rotherham, loads of pressing in midfield and every free kick and throwing goes in the box. But come on, look what they're up against when they're playing, parachute teams. Dara said bad loss for QPR. Yes, it is. I think QPR still have enough of a cushion. John says, I love Rotherham, hope they stay up. And this is what we said all season. Rotherham really the only team in the, you can go up to Brentford, I guess. Blackburn, sorry. The only team who down there who are actually doing anything near their potential, because 36 points is really good for a £6 million wage bill, I think. Ajayi seems to have turned into Paul Pogba for about the last few weeks. If you watch my video on the best player for each team, we had Ajayi. Ben makes a really good point there. Rotherham seem to put up a fight every game, and the thing with Rotherham is they can be playing absolutely pitifully and they can score from a big long throw or a big free kick. So, Millwall have that in their armour as well with Cooper and those clever set plays where he gets on his own. So, Ajayi is on fire at the moment. He smacked in the first one on 75. Then Bright Samuel looked to have made it a 1-1 draw. But then Ajayi, again, is a ridiculous form. Dave says Paul Warne is better than Paul Hurst. I don't think you'll get any argument from Ipswich fans on that one. Ben says watch them at Ellen Road and they were dangerous. That's key. They are dangerous. They might not have any possession or make any passes in the final third, but they will create 1 or 2 chances. Riley says we didn't have Volks. Riley, can you help me out here? Is Volks back for Saturday? Is it a 1-game ban or is it a 2? Was it straight red against Sheffield United? I can't remember. But Volks is the guy with the long throws in. John says Ipswich, Millwall and Wigan down. Interesting. He thinks Rotherham and Reading and Bolton are gonna get out of it. Straight Red says William, how long is that suspension for? Is that 3 games? So Volks, he might not be back. Brilliant stuff from Rotherham. Ajayi, I had a look on who scored, and it says he's played, I think, 24 games. So 3-game ban, okay. 24 games at centre half, and I think he's played 8 games in centre midfield and scored 6 goals in them. So I know this is not a Pablo Hernandez type 6 goals. This is a headers and things from long throws. But I'm all for it given Rotherham's spend. So brilliant stuff from Rotherham. 2 wins in the last 3 games when they really, really needed it. And like I say, Rotherham 36, then Wigan 36, 1 goal back. Reading 36, a further 3 goals ahead. Then Millwall on 37. So brilliant that Rotherham are still in it. And finally, they're learning actually how to win after how many draws this season? 15 draws, Rotherham. They've only won 7 games. Yeah, 15 draws, Rotherham in 37 games. So yeah, Rotherham have lost the same amount of games as Swansea further up the table there. Can you give my dad Emi Buendia a shout out? Says Dan. I bet you're older than Emi Buendia. Yeah, I will do a Saturday preview, Dar. I need to figure out when the hell I'm gonna do this. Neil says we wish we could, Ben. I think he's talking about win, yeah, getting some wins in there. So yeah, quickly on Rangers, horrible run continues, and the teams below them rally, but Rangers have got a 6-point gap, so that should be enough. Looks like they're going to finish 18th though on current form. QPR, right? We'll do some questions and whatnot. So on the feed, Liam says Buendia goal last night, goal of the season. If Pookie hadn't stood on the ball, yes, I would agree with you, but Pookie stood on the ball, so can't do that one. Henry says, are Norwich due a bad run? Not the way they're playing, because they create so many chances. So, no, I don't think so. Prediction for Leeds v Blades, it's going to be great and I'm going to enjoy it. I'll go no further than that. David says, opinion on Villa's time wasting versus Forest on Wednesday night. I assume he's a Forest fan. I wasn't there. I can't comment. It's probably no worse than any other team does when they're winning. We know every team does it. We just don't like it. Ben, could I be Forest manager and get some decent defenders? Are you not happy with Benalouane and Milosevic? I thought they quite big, fierce defenders. Right, have we got any Twitter questions? Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Sam asks, if Forest don't go up, how can you see the season panning out for them next season? I think Forest might be quite good next season. Martin O'Neill always asks for money. Marianakis has obviously got money. The stadium is going to be built up, and I think he'll get what he wants in the summer. And he said already, Martin O'Neill, that if they don't go up, he's off anyway. So, thoughts on Alex Neil to West Brom? That'd be an interesting one. Would he take the job? Would Alex Neil take the job? And done so well at Preston, and Preston are a bit like Ipswich were under McCarthy. You know, there's no parachute money, so they're at a huge disadvantage. Knee Down says, can I explain FFP? Not really, but I'll try. You can make a trading loss on bad spending of 39 million over 3 seasons. So if you operate really badly over 3 seasons and lose 39 million, you will get a very, very big fine. Bad spending is on players and wages. Good spending is on infrastructure. So, for example, Forest's new Peter Taylor stand is good spending. So, even though that will cost a load of money and make them a load of money, then it's fine. But it's players. And the example, follow at Kieran Maguire on Twitter. Hi Ben, we watched the Jackson documentary. Oh my God, let's not talk about the Jackson documentary. Yeah. Yes, I'll give a shout out for your lass. I'm sorry, I'm doing 2 questions at once. Keep them coming. I was talking about FFP, wasn't I? Yeah. So the example was Sheffield Wednesday, where they went big in the first 2 seasons and then cut back in the third, got rid of Rose and trying to get Forestieri off there. So yeah, that's my understanding. But I'd recommend you all watch the interview with Kieran Maguire, who was absolutely brilliant. I would probably suggest I understand about 20% of it, and not being an accountant, I can't get the. I think winning formation says buying youth is good money. Spending on your academy is good money. So they're trying to do something about it, but really, as we see, until you get rid of this disparity of 45 million going into a parachute payment, as opposed to the teams that get nothing. How on earth they're going to compete? Obviously, you get outliers like Huddersfield and Sheffield United, but my contention now, having listened to Kieran, is unless you've had Premier League money in the last 5-10 years, and I include parachute money in that, or you have a unlikely promotion, you just have no chance, and it has to be a real against the odds promotion like Huddersfield or Blades it would be. Lee says predictions for Blades Leeds. Oh, go on, you lot do your predictions for Blades Leeds. God knows. Could be 3-0 Leeds, could be 3-0 Blades, or it could be 3-3. There you go. Max Aarons is the best right back in the league. I would say to NFC Jones, Max Aarons is very, very good, but have you seen Reece James play? He's on loan from Chelsea, and he is also fantastic. Both very, very good. James says, how good was that Buendia flick yesterday? Yeah, brilliant. Jack Clark back. Lots of Leeds love, but then we have lots of Leeds followers, don't we? Got lots of Blades followers as well, so I'd imagine it's quite mixed in it. Could be anything. They're two very, very good teams. I wouldn't be surprised with some really good, like 2-2 draw or something, that's the result that Norwich want. Norwich don't want 3 points going into the metrics. Am I Chinese, Dara? No, I am very, very much English with Scottish heritage. Have you seen Alan Hutton play? I saw Alan Hutton score one of the best goals of the season. Is Grealish overrated? George asks. Yeah, I always get asked that. Will there be a promotion special coming up on the channel? Yes. We're doing one on Norwich and one on Leeds. We've done one on Sheffield United. And fingers crossed, the one on Norwich should be up by 5 o'clock tomorrow. So tweet me if you want any questions done on that. Sigurd says who will go up. Well, Norwich, and then ask me on Saturday after the other two. And then I hope either Leeds or Sheffield United win in the playoffs, because it'd be a bit of an injustice, because basically there's 3 good teams in this league. There's West Brom with some good players. There's Borough kind of stinking it up. And not a lot else, really. Dara thinks Ipswich are going to beat Forest 5-0. Can't see that happening. Thoughts on Ipswich's financial difficulties? Ipswich will have real bad financial difficulties if they don't go up from League One next season. It just depends, really, because depends on what Marcus Evans wants to do. But the way it is, unless he stops putting money in, a self-funding Ipswich is a League One club with their attendances and their income. There'll be a League One Championship yo-yo club. They'll be like Barnsley, Millwall, no disrespect to any of these teams, Rotherham, Wigan. That'll be Ipswich's level while they're self-funding. So unless Evans wants to double his input, nothing's going to happen. Needown says, no parachute for Leeds or Blades. Yeah, agree with that. And Kieran Maguire was very good. Dan asks about Ipswich again. Youth, that's the key, isn't it? And the teams who've done well, if you look at Norwich, yeah, they have had parachute money the last 3 years and a couple of promotions, but Norwich have generated the equivalent of parachute money this season by selling Murphy and Maddison.